Good morning. Are we on? Okay, good morning. My first words today when I walked in here were going to be that this is a room that was probably full of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I've worked with so many of you. I'm a project director and a professional fundraiser, and I know so many people here in this room today that I have to recant that. And this is a room full of extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. Thank you so much for being here today. Could you give yourself a hand? Joan is just going to do a few little rehearsals and kind of practice a little bit while I'm speaking, and you'll find out why in just a few moments. Doing more good and doing it now takes more than money. The reason it takes more than money is because it takes an ordinary person doing extraordinary things. There are three kinds of people in this world: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. I was raised by extraordinary parents. I work with extraordinary people, and I feel that I live in an extraordinary world. This is why I became a project director. I love spending time with people and figuring out how they can do things better. I spend most of my days with people walking up to me going, "Do you have a minute? Can we grab a cup of coffee? Or if it's after 4, we'll grab a beer." And at that moment, projects and ideas come into my head that I feel that I need to move on. I can find a way to raise money. I can find the people that need to match up with their qualities to make something happen. Everybody needs that. Everybody doesn't always know the avenues to go down and what they need to do. And I've been doing this for 33 years. And I'm going to give away a little secret. The way to get your project to move forward is when they ask you what you can do, you find somebody to make it an epic project, and then you take it in knowing that they'll only do half of it, and then you'll get done what you want to happen. That's what happened with the call on a weekday afternoon when Mark DeRue from Rest Haven Care Community called me. He said, "Lori, we're looking for something special, and we don't really know what it is." I said, "I do. I have a great idea that I've wanted to do for a long time, but it takes people with the courage and organizations to say, yes, we're going to do it." And the idea was to do a project that had nothing to do with them. They wouldn't get anything out of it other than to share a great idea and to work with the community and to spotlight people who have truly made a difference in our world here today. Over my courses of travels through around the West Michigan area, I have discovered that everybody that I work with is extraordinary. They really are. The people that you go to church with, the people that you are sitting next to here in this auditorium, the people that you are standing next to in the grocery store, that live down at the Warm Friend or at Freedom Village or Evergreen Commons, swimming, working out, your normal everyday people here have truly done extraordinary things. My hope was that Rest Haven would embrace the idea that we would form a nominating committee, community members, and that you would nominate people who have done extraordinary things, locally, nationally, and internationally. Thankfully enough, Charlie Vanderbrook and Mark DeRue embraced the idea and said, "Let's go for it. We feel we need to give back to this community to what they've given us." Out of this project, we started, and it happens every 2 years, 7 over 70. And you can see, and I'm not going to read their names, they're very strong and extraordinary people, but they are people who live here and that we work with every single day. In 2009, we did the first one, and it was extremely successful. It's a nominating process, so I want you to be thinking right now for the next 2 years who you'd like to nominate for the next time. And then 2011, just this last year, we did another 7, which Joan Conway was one of our beloved chosen. Rest Haven believes that by providing the opportunity to share the incredible stories and talents of the younger generation. It will inspire, motivate, and create an atmosphere of opportunity that will contribute to the quality of life here on the Lakeshore. Today, thousands of people in the second half of life have opened up new chapters, productivity, and leadership in the process that has transformed our community, our nation, and our entire world. I only have a time to introduce you to a few of the 14 that we have gone through. I will start today with Dr. Robert McDonald. After working his way through college via 22 odd jobs, he ended up as the international sales and marketing team for Dow Chemical. Upon his retirement from Dow, he was challenged to re-educate himself and to work to truly find his purpose. On his travels with Dow, he encountered a woman drinking water contaminated with raw sewage, and he was unshaken. He was totally changed and embedded in his memory. Bob dedicated himself to designing and developing a low-cost method of a water purifying system. To inform the world about this process, he started the Aqua Clara Foundation. During the first 2 years, 4,000 of these purifiers have been put into service, improving the lives of 24,000 children and adults. And in Kenya alone, there are over 600 working purifiers. Bob spent 40 to 50 hours after retirement training teachers and raising money to send these people to these countries to teach them how to do it themselves. Collaboratively with Hope College, Michigan State University, Purdue, and the oversight of the CDC, a patent was obtained. Bob believes that in order to give it away, you need to own it. This is all in keeping with his governing philosophies. Take action on what you care about. It keeps you moving. The next spotlight is on Peter VandenBos. He was 11 of 12 children born in a little Minnesota family. World War II gave him the opportunity to follow a dream and become a pilot. Peter then, after he returned home, went into the communications business, acquired several radio stations. When it came time to sell and retire, he and his wife took off to a warmer climate of Florida to fish for grouper. It was during one of his fishing trips in 80 feet deep water that he decided that there was more to life than this. He believed he heard a calling out there in the middle of the ocean. Once he returned home, a friend of his had called and said, "Peter, we need you to take a flight. We need something to be done. Someone needs medical treatment." Peter immediately began thinking about what he could do, that perhaps this was the calling, that this is what he needed to do. He called his pilot friends together and he started an organization called Wings of Mercy. Had a little meeting, the Holland Sentinel heard about the meeting, ran a front page paper article, and Wings of Mercy was born. Now working up to 80 hours a week, flying 211 missions on his own, Peter worked as a screener and treasurer for the organization. And of all things, Peter's the first to admit he had no idea what the word fundraiser meant. Didn't know how to spell it. Was it hyphenated? And who does this exactly? Since those first flights in 1991, Wings has flown over 5,200 patients to medical treatments that they so desperately need at no cost to the patients or their families. Now the organization operates in 8 states. Our next person is Calvin Langejans. Well, Cal is a local guy that went to school and decided to become a band teacher. Started with West Ottawa Public High School, was part of the conception of the whole program. And while he was doing that, and he raised 5 children, he started the Magna Chords, the Bel Canto Singers, the Holland Chorale, brought to life the March Festival of the Arts, which was one of the largest nonprofit music programs in the country. And off of that spun the Holland Symphony Orchestra, which is now one of our leading cultural institutions in the Lakeshore area, and that's run lovingly by Kay Walbert. Then he retired. After he retired, after all of those things, he also started now just recently another chorale at the Evergreen Commons, which is now 100 strong and serves full audiences of over 700 to 800 people at each event. Cal has replied relied on a philosophy, as he puts it, to bloom where you're planted, to carry him along the years rather than work hard in getting to the next big job or the next big performance or the next opportunity. He convinced his students and singers to do the best you can with what's presented to you, and that failure is just simply not an option. This brings us to Joan Conway. Joan began playing piano by ear at the age of 5. Her first piano lessons were 35 cents wrapped up in a little tiny handkerchief. Sitting on a pillow, she played throughout her childhood in a variety of minstrel shows, variety, whatever she could come across, she played. Her passion was basketball. That would soon give away, though, to once she started college and realized that piano was where she wanted to be in musical performance, and she was way behind, never practiced, because all she did when she was young was play basketball. And still to this day, I do believe she told me last night she was practicing at 2:30 in the morning because she had to watch a basketball game. She honed her skills well enough to continue at grad school at the Manhattan School of Music in New York. She stayed there for 13 years, accompanying for violin, voice, ballet, and modern dance, playing concerts and studying. Joan fondly recalls having lived on the 3rd floor above the New York Metropolitan Opera House. What an experience. There she summered playing in Bayview in northern Michigan, and while she was there, got a call from Hope College. Where's Hope College? What is Hope College? And what would I do there? She thought. Ended up here, and 33 years later, she finally retired after being on staff at Hope College. Joan directed, while she was here, the Saugatuck Chamber Music Festival for 10 years, which has grown to be a really, really fabulous program in Saugatuck. And she sat on the board of the Holland Symphony. She continues that work along with teaching 6 to 10 students a year. And she also started the Herrick Library concert series, which is called Free at 3. It is now in its 12th year. Joan just doesn't know how to retire. She asked why she didn't really retire, and she explained that in her basketball days, she wanted to be a player, not a watcher. She admits, though, she's still watching a lot of basketball. Musicians want to play. They want to be players, not watchers. So which one are you? Your neighbors, your friends, the people sitting next to you. Are you a watcher or are you a player? Extraordinary good work is being done every day by ordinary people. I've had a very good fortune throughout my lifetime to be able to work with extraordinary people every day and to be able to share that with everyone that I come across. So which one are you going to be when you leave here today? A watcher or a player? And I know for sure that Joan is a player. Could you take us home?